Chapter 16. Changing Clothes in Zyming Lane for the Husband. The poem reads, "A chivalrous man does not boast of his achievements, nor does a benevolent man forget his virtue. He placed the jade disc out of gratitude for his debt, and offered gold to repay the young lord. Deep gratitude deserves to be etched in one's heart and soul. How could one be swayed by worldly desires? Have you not seen shrines erected to repay kindness, rising to the heavens? Such is the way of repaying kindness and gratitude. Lord Xinling, Wei Wuji, because his brother-in-law, Lord Pingyuan, was besieged by Qin, was saved by Lady Ruji, who stole the military tally. Together with Lord Xinling, they led 100,000 troops and decisively defeated the Qin general Meng Ao, saving the entire state of Zhao. One of his retainers said to Lord Xinling, 'There are virtues that can be forgotten, and virtues that cannot be forgotten. Those who have been kind to me should not be forgotten. Those I have been kind to others should not be forgotten.' In short, one should never expect repayment for kindness, and one should never forget those who have received kindness." Now Wang Bading, a famous nobleman who abandoned the Sui dynasty, looked down upon the world. How could he possibly look down on the young man in purple under the yellow umbrella? Qi Guoyuan and Li Rugui, who committed arson and murder in broad daylight, were not afraid of any high-ranking official with a yellow umbrella. Qin Shubao, however, was a man of principle, discerning between the powerful and the humble. He stopped his three friends in the middle of the passageway, saying, "Brothers, don't go up. The young man sitting under that yellow umbrella is the benefactor who is repairing the temple." Bading said, "If he's just a benefactor, why don't you leave?" Shubao said, "It's not like that. He's a current official." Li Rugui said, "How do you know, brother?" Shubao said, "Judging from these two tiger head plaques, he must be a current official. Should we four brothers go up and greet him or not?" Bading said, "Brother, you are right." The four of them walked together through the small passageway to the main hall, where they saw many craftsmen working. Shubao called out, and the crowd approached, saying, "What can I do for you, gentlemen?" Shubao asked, "May I ask who built this temple so neatly?" The craftsman replied, "It was built by Lord Li, the Duke of Tang of Taiyuan Prefecture in Bingzhou." Shubao asked, "He was stationed in Taiyuan, so why is he here doing this good deed?" The craftsman explained, "On the 15th day of the 8th month of the first year of Renshu, Lord Li was granted permission by the emperor to return to his hometown. He stayed at the temple that evening, and Lady Du gave birth to her second son. Lord Li, fearing that the Pure Land would be defiled, decided to donate and rebuild it. The man sitting in the hall with the yellow umbrella is his son-in-law, Chai Shao, courtesy name Sicheng." Xu Bao immediately recognized him as the man who had helped him at Lintong Mountain that day, and who had come here that evening. The four brothers entered through the east gate, which led to the abbot's quarters. They saw a newly built gatehouse to the east, with a red plaque bearing the golden characters Bayod Shrine. Bading said, "Let's see what virtue it repays." The four entered together and saw 3 halls, with a shrine in the center, over 10 feet high. Inside was a standing deity, wearing a light blue felt hat with a lotus leaf brim, a black turban and a sea robe, covered with yellow armor, a leather belt, a ivory shield and sword, and yellow deerskin boots. A red plaque stood before them, bearing 6 large golden characters in regular script. "The Shrine of Benefactor Qiang Wusheng." Beside it were several smaller characters. "Official Li Yuan, after washing his hands, offers this sacrifice." It turned out that when Shubao defeated the fake bandits at Lintong Mountain, Li Gong asked Shubao his name. Shubao replied that he dared not reveal his name and rode off towards Tongyuan. Li Gong, unwilling to let him go, chased him for over 10 miles, until Shubao finally revealed his name as Qin Qiang. Seeing Shubao shake his head, Li Gong recognized the name but not the surname, and mistakenly wrote it here. Shubao nodded to himself. "That year in Lezhou, how did I end up in such a miserable state? It turns out it was Lord Li who made me look like this. I'm just a commoner. How could I be worthy of having a statue of a meritorious official, burning incense and praying for him? He sighed inwardly. The three of them looked at the statue. Chi Guoyuan couldn't even recognize the 6 golden characters and asked, "Brother Badeng, is this Huichuo Tianzun?" Badeng smiled and said, "Just now, inside the vermilion niche at the second mountain gate, holding the Vajra pestle, that is Huichuo. This person is still alive. Tang Gong once received a favor from this person, so he built this shrine to repay his kindness." Everyone was surprised when they heard Badeng say, "still alive." They looked at the statue and then at Xu Bao's face. There were 4 figures on the left and right sides of the niche. 2 on the left were accompanied by a yellow horse. 2 on the right were holding 2 golden maces. Badeng approached Xu Bao and whispered in his ear, "Brother, when you traveled far away in previous years, were you dressed like this?" Xu Bao secretly shook his head and said, "Brother, whisper, this is me." Badeng said, "Why are you calling me brother?" Xu Bao said, "In the first year of Renshu, when we met in Lezhu, Fan Jianwei and I registered in Chang'an on the 15th of August. Tang Gong was returning home when he was surrounded and killed by bandits in Lintong Mountain. Fan Jianwei urged me to go forward and help Tang Gong fight off the bandits. At that time, I rode away, and Tang Gong chased after me and asked my name. I had no choice but to give my name as Qin Qiang and waved for him not to chase me. I don't know why he was in such a hurry and mistook me for Qiang Wu. I can't say anything about this." Badeng laughed and said, "It's because he mistook you for General Qiang that you're so poor in Lezhu." The two laughed and joked. Unexpectedly, Chai Sicheng, who was sitting under the platform, saw 4 people enter in a dignified manner. Not knowing who they were, he instructed his servants to secretly inquire. His retainers followed behind, watching his every move. While the men were talking inside the ancestral hall, someone outside overheard them and came up to the platform to report to the prince consort. "Among those 4 gentlemen, one is the benefactor of the late master." Upon hearing this, Chai Sicheng straightened his clothes, descended the platform, entered the Bayad ancestral hall, and bowed deeply, asking, "Which one of you is the benefactor who saved my father-in-law's life?" The 4 returned the bow, and Badeng pointed to Xubao, saying, "This brother is an old friend of Master Li, whom I met at Lintong Mountain. His surname is Qin, and his given name is Qiang. Master Li was in a hurry back then and mistakenly remembered Qiang as 5. If the prince consort doesn't believe me, the double Machin horse is currently outside the mountain gate." Sicheng said, "These 4 outstanding men are surely not deceiving me. Please come to the abbot's quarters." He ordered his men to spread out a prayer mat, and they bowed to each other, asking each other's names. Chi Guoyuan and Li Rugui both gave their true names. The prince consort ordered someone to fetch the horses outside the mountain gate and move the luggage to the monks' quarters to pack. He then ordered a feast to be prepared to welcome them and wash away their dust. That night, he wrote a letter and sent someone to Taiyuan to inform Lord Tang. He entertained his 4 brothers at the temple, where they drank and made merry. Several days passed quickly, and it was the new year again, with the Lantern Festival approaching. Xubao discussed with Badeng, "Tomorrow evening is the 14th of the first month. We still need to prepare memorials and gifts for our journey to Chang'an, and we must present them early on the 15th. Badeng said, "We can just leave early tomorrow morning." Xubao instructed Jianbu to prepare the saddle and horses and enter the city that morning. Chai Sicheng knew that Xubao had official business and couldn't stop him. However, he hesitated because he hadn't received a reply from Taiyuan. He thought to himself, Xubao went to Chang'an, delivered the birthday gifts, and went straight back. He definitely won't come back to the temple. If my father-in-law writes back to invite him, and he's gone, wouldn't my previous letter be a false report? If I accompany him to Chang'an, we can see the lanterns, finish his business. And then I can invite him back to the temple to await my father-in-law's reply. Sicheng said to Xubao, "I also want to go back to Chang'an to see the lanterns. How about accompanying you, my benefactor? Xiubao felt it was inappropriate to travel with him, but he also wanted to take advantage of his momentum to go to Chang'an, so he readily agreed. Sicheng then instructed his men to pack the horses and ordered his generals to supervise the temple's repairs. He ordered 2 men to carry felt bags and gift boxes, along with plenty of silver, to accompany Master Qin to the capital to deliver gifts. After the meal, they set off with 5 handsome men, 7 on horseback, 2 carrying backpacks, and 22 followers, leaving Yangfu Temple for Chang'an. Only half a month has passed since Xiubao and his companions arrived at the temple, yet the scenery along the way has already changed once more. Willows, laden with golden millet, brush against the saddles. Grasses sprout green shoots, charming the distant shores. Spring air touches the mountains, bringing forth their vibrant colors. A gentle breeze stirs the water, creating ripples. Although it was only 60 li, they set off late, and by the time they arrived in Chang'an, the sun had already set. Xu Bao was careful not to enter the city to find lodging, fearing it would be inconvenient to move around. 8 li from Mingde Gate, they saw the house of a large, wealthy family, with a tall building and a sign that read Tao Family Inn. Xu Bao said, "With so many people and it being so late, I fear the city will be too bustling, and we won't be able to find a decent inn. Let's rest here for now." He urged their luggage and horses into the inn, and everyone dismounted and went to the host's hall, where many unlit lanterns hung. Seeing the group of heroes with their luggage and servants, the host knew they were influential people and immediately smiled and said ingratiatingly, "Gentlemen, if you don't mind the simple food and wine, please stay at my humble inn tonight. We'll look at these few simple lanterns as a welcome. Tomorrow, when the city's lantern market is in full swing, you can go in and enjoy it. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" Xu Bao was a shrewd man, and he had a plan in mind. It was only the 14th of the month, and he feared his friends might have nothing to do in the city and might cause trouble while playing around with the neighbors. Moreover, his official business was not yet finished, and he took advantage of the host's banquet to entertain his friends. At dawn, after delivering the birthday gifts, he found himself free to accompany them to watch the lanterns. Upon hearing this, Xu Bao said, "Since our esteemed host is so hospitable, we will certainly repay him." So the friends drank heartily, and by midnight they dispersed in high spirits, each returning to their rooms to rest. Xu Bao, however, did not sleep but stood in the courtyard. The host, supervising his men as they packed their belongings, saw Xu Bao standing before him and asked, "What office do you belong to?" Xu Bao replied, "I am from Shandong under the command of the governor, here to deliver birthday gifts to Master Yang. I have a request." The innkeeper asked, "What is it?" Xu Bao said, "I have traveled through Chang'an several times, and the streets and government offices are easy to recognize during the day. Now before dawn, I need to go to Mingde Gate. Does your inn have any esteemed servants who know the way, whom I could borrow to guide me?" The innkeeper pointed to one of the servants and said, "This old man." "My name is Tao Rong. I know not only the way, but also the proper etiquette." "Tao Rong, come here. This Master Qin from Shandong is going to the Yue family to pay respects at their birthday celebration through the Mingde Gate. Can you lead the way?" Tao Rong said, "If Master Qin is traveling with few people, I have a brother named Tao Hua. We can go with Uncle Qin to get some gifts." Xu Bao said, "This steward is indeed capable." He went back to his room and asked Jianbu to fetch 2 strings of leather money. He rewarded Tao Rong and Tao Hua, then opened his leather bag and, according to the order, divided the money into 4 felt bundles. The 2 Jianbu and the 2 brothers, Tao Rong and Tao Hua, carried them and followed behind. While his friends were asleep, Xu Bao left Tao's shop without informing them and went through the Mingde Gate. That's another story. Now, let us say that Lord Yue was a high-ranking official in the court, and Emperor Wen's favor towards him was at its peak. When the Chen dynasty fell, Emperor Wen bestowed upon Lord Yue 100 concubines and female officials from the Chen palace for his enjoyment in his later years. Although Lord Yue was a minister of high rank and great prestige, he was also a cunning and ruthless man. One day, because the osmanthus flowers in the West Hall were in full bloom, he prepared wine and invited his staff to a banquet. Everyone flattered and fawned, except for Li Xuansui, who said, "Your Excellency is of high rank and noble birth, and your fame resounds throughout the land. The only thing you lack is the elixir of immortality." Yue Gong understood, knowing Xuansui meant that his many concubines might not last long. He immediately replied, "I need no elixir of immortality. I have my own way of dealing with it." The next day, Yue Gong came out and sat in the inner courtyard, opening the inner and outer brocade screens wide. He then ordered someone to convey his decree to his concubines. "My lord considers your long service here and your hard work, and fears that you may be wasting your youth. Now I am in the inner courtyard, and I order all of you concubines to come out. Those who wish to go and choose a husband, stand on the left. Those who do not wish to go, stand on the right." Upon hearing this, the women rushed out like birds released from a cage, seeing Yue Gong sitting upright in the inner courtyard. Yue Gong said, "Did you all understand my message? Now each of you stand in your place and I will take care of you." Although the women enjoyed themselves in the mansion, they all longed for a single husband and wife. How could they be truly happy? Of the nearly 100 women, most knelt on the left. Lord Yue glanced around and saw two more beauties. One holding a sword was Princess Lecheng, the sister of the Chen Emperor. The other, holding a whisk, was named Zhang Chuchen, exceptionally beautiful and intelligent, a chivalrous and extraordinary woman. Lord Yue said to them, "You two beauties should also come down, either to the left or right, you should have a place." The two beauties, upon hearing this, came down and knelt before him. The one holding the sword wept silently. Only the one holding the whisk spoke, saying, "Your Excellency's great favor is unprecedented, allowing us maids to choose our spouses to spend our lives with. This is a rare and joyous occasion. But within the mansion we are surrounded by luxurious comforts. How could we possibly leave to live with a poor, destitute man?" The ancients said, "Where there is deepest gratitude, there is a home. Moreover, I have no home, and I see no one else in the world." Lord Yue nodded in approval. He then asked the sword-bearer, "Why are you only weeping?" Princess Lecheng then recounted her past marriage to Su Dayan and their separation by breaking their mirror. Later, Su Dayan became her advisor, and the couple reunited, but that's another story. When Lord Yue heard this, he didn't sigh. He told the two beauties to rise and stand behind him, then instructed the chief steward to open the inner gate and order the 40 or 50 women standing on the left to go out and return home to choose their own husbands. They were free to take all their clothing, ornaments, and private possessions. The women bowed gratefully, weeping as they left. Lord Yue, seeing the beautiful women crowding out, felt a sense of satisfaction. From then on, he favored Princess Lecheng and Lady Zhang, making them ladies-in-waiting and placing them in charge of the two ranks of court ladies. Time flies. That year, on the 15th of the first lunar month, it was again the birthday of Lord Yue. Officials of all ranks, both civil and military, from all over the land, brought gifts and memorials to the mansion to offer their congratulations. Li Jiang happened to be in Chang'an at that time. Upon hearing of Lord Yue's birthday, he immediately prepared a memorial and went to pay his respects, intending to offer a brilliant strategy. Before he even reached the mansion gate, an official took the memorial away. The mansion was not yet open, so he had no choice but to go into a side room to wait. The other officials and officers were also busy inside. Sitting to the west was a burly, imposing man. Li Jiang looked him over and raised his hand, asking, "Brother." "Where are you from?" The man also rose and raised his hand, replying, "I am from Shandong." Li Jiang asked, "What is your honorable name, brother?" The man replied, "My surname is Qin and my given name is Qiang." Li Jiang said, "So you are brother Shubao from Licheng." Shubao asked, "May I ask your surname and given name, brother?" Li Jiang answered, "I am Li Jiang from Sanyuan." Xiubao said, "So you are Brother Yaoshi. I have long admired you." The two exchanged greetings again, shook hands, and sat down, inquiring about each other's whereabouts. Xiubao asked Li Jiang where he lived, and Li Jiang replied, "I live in the third house in Ziming Lane in front of the mansion." As they were talking, they suddenly heard music playing from inside the mansion, and the gate opened. An official entered and called out, "Which one of you is Lord Li from Sanyuan? The master has ordered that you come in to see him." Li Jiang said to Xiubao, "I must go into the mansion to see you now and cannot accompany you. However, I have something important to tell you. If you would not mind, please come to my residence for a while to discuss it in detail." Xiubao agreed. Li Jiang then entered the mansion with the official. Lord Yue was a man of great prestige, rarely seen by even civil and military officials. Why then did he alone grant an audience with Li Jiang? It was because Li Jiang's father, Li Shu, had served alongside Lord Yue during the Sui dynasty. Li Jiang was a close relative and nephew of Lord Yue, and had long admired Li Jiang's talent, hence his desire to meet him. The official led Li Jiang not through the ceremonial gate, but through the right-hand passageway, to the west courtyard where he announced his arrival. Li Jiang looked up and saw Lord Yue reclining on a folding chair, wearing a 7-jeweled ruyi crown, a dark dragon-embroidered silver fur coat, and holding a ruyi scepter. Behind the chair stood 12 female officials in jade-beaded crowns and robes, followed by numerous concubines arranged like a brocade screen. Li Jiang stepped forward with his head held high and bowed, saying, "The world is in chaos, and heroes are rising up. As a high-ranking official of the imperial court, you should be focused on gathering heroes, not receiving guests in such a disrespectful manner." Lord Yue composed himself and rose to thank him, engaging in warm conversation with Li Jiang, answering his questions fluently and at length. Lord Yue was overjoyed and wanted to keep him as his secretary, but since it was their first meeting, he didn't speak of it immediately. At that moment, a beautiful woman holding a whisk glanced at Li Jiang. Li Jiang was a naturally heroic figure, unlike a spoiled brat who, seeing a woman's furtive gaze, assumed she was interested in him and wanted to seduce him. It was already noon, so Li Jiang had no choice but to take his leave. Lord Yue said, "We are family nephews," and immediately ordered the beautiful woman holding the whisk to escort Li Jiang. The beautiful woman, Zhang, went to the pavilion and asked the official, "My lord, please ask what the name of the departing young man Li is and where he lives. May he go with you?" The official went outside to inquire and returned to report. The beautiful woman then went back inside. Now, let's set aside the matter of Li Jiang returning to his residence. Let's turn back to Qin Xiubao, who was escorting gifts into the Duke of Yue's mansion. It turned out that officials from all the regional military governors were assigned to collect gifts from their respective staffs. These gift-collecting officials faced many difficulties. Each official, besides the official document, had a written list of local products and gifts to present. If anything displeased them, these officials would become harsh and subject them to numerous investigations. The gifts from Shandong were to be collected in Li Xuansui's office. At that moment, Qin Xiubao arrived. Xuansui, seeing him, hurriedly descended the steps to greet him, overjoyed. Xiubao presented the official document and gifts, which Xuansui glanced at and ordered to be collected. Having received all the private gifts, Xuansui invited Xiubao to the back hall for wine and to recount their recent activities. Xiubao recounted his encounter with Wang Bading, who had accompanied him. "But I fear my elder brother is too busy to go out for even a short while." He added, "I met Li Jiang. His appearance is extraordinary, his bearing exceptional. We met briefly outside the gate, and it felt as if we were old friends. I'm going out to visit him at his residence. Please send me back quickly with your reply." Upon hearing this, Xuansui ordered a servant to pour wine, while he himself quickly wrote a reply at the table, finishing it in a moment and handing it to Xu Bao. Before parting, Xuan Sui instructed Xu Bao to convey his regards to Bo Dang, lest they harbor resentment at their parting. After bidding farewell to Xuan Sui, Xu Bao came to Ximing Lane. Li Jiang greeted him with delight, saying, "Brother, you are truly a trustworthy man." Once seated, he asked, "How old are you?" Xu Bao replied, 24. He then asked, "When you entered Chang'an, did you have any companions?" Xu Bao concealed the fact that he had 4 friends at home, saying, "I was sent by my official to deliver gifts with only 2 swift men. There were no others. Why do you ask, brother?" Li Jiang said, "Although I have wandered the lakes and seas, I have learned about all the schools of thought, the various schools of thought, and the unorthodox arts. After careful consideration, what I find most delightful is your divination. Brother, this year you are in the period of influence of your forehead, and there is a dark aura about you, which I fear may bring misfortune. I dare not remain silent. However, you will surely become a pillar of the nation in the future, and you should always be mindful of your conduct. The other night, I observed the celestial phenomena. Around midnight on the 15th of the first month, a comet will pass by, foretelling war, fire, and theft among the people. If you go to the capital with friends, brother, you must not indulge in frivolous entertainment such as lantern viewing. Since you have already received your approval, it would be best to return to Shandong as soon as possible." These words sent chills down Xu Bao's spine. Knowing that Qi was far away and he feared causing trouble, he hurriedly bid farewell to Li Jiang and prepared to return home. Now let's return to Lady Zhang. Having received the official's reply, she went inside and thought to herself, "I, Zhang Chuchen, have seen many men in this household, but none are as handsome and talented as this young man. He is truly a remarkable individual. His future achievements will certainly not be inferior to those of Lord Yue. From what I heard him speak, I know he is unmarried. Serving him here is not a solution. If I abandon him and try to find another, there will be no one like him in the world. If this man is not my match, I fear he will never find a spouse. Tonight, since it's not my turn to serve, and there's a play and banquet being held in the mansion, I'll secretly go to his residence for a meeting. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" Having made up her mind, she sealed the chests and lockers in her room and made a detailed account. She also wrote a report and placed it on the table. Fearing that the patrolling soldiers on the street would stop her, she went to the inner courtyard and stole the military tally. Disguised as a servant in the inner quarters, carrying a lantern, she swaggered out of the mansion gate. Before they had gone a mile, 3 or 4 patrolmen asked, "Where are you going, sir?" Zhang replied, "I am the magistrate of Yue Prefecture on urgent business sent to the military headquarters. Why do you ask me?" The patrolman said, "What harm is there in asking?" With that, they all went off, striking their gongs and clanging their drums. A short while later, they arrived at the entrance of Ximing Lane in front of the prefecture. Zhang counted the 3rd house and saw a large gatehouse, so she knocked. The innkeeper opened the door and asked, "Who are you meeting?" Zhang said, "Lord Li of Sanyuan, is he staying here?" The innkeeper said, "In the room on the east side after entering." Hearing this, Zhang hurriedly went inside. At that time, Li Jiang had finished his evening meal and was sitting in his room under the lamp reading the book given to him by the Dragon Mother. Hearing the knock, he quickly opened the door and saw a black gauze hat, emerald eyebrows, and a radiant face. A radiant face, a purple robe and soft belt, a new outfit that was quite elegant. Powdered cheeks faintly visible, cherry-like lips, holding a military tally, speaking solicitously. The earnest words suggest that the city is difficult to breach, leaving one pondering its perplexing nature. Lady Zhang entered, placed the military tally on the table, and then exchanged greetings with Li Jiang before sitting down. Li Jiang asked, "Where do you come from? What brings you here?" Lady Zhang replied, "I am a palace official named Zhang from the Yue Prefecture, sent here on the orders of my master." Li Jiang asked, "What can I do for you?" Lady Zhang said. Just now, my master summoned me in and gave me many instructions, but I will not speak of them now. Sir, you are a man of great insight and exceptional intelligence. Try to guess my meaning. If you can guess correctly, you will see that you are an extraordinary man, a true hero. Li Jiang said, This is strange. Why do you want me to guess? He lowered his head and thought for a moment, then said, When I visited the prefectural office earlier this day, I was deeply grateful for his courteous treatment. Is this to ask you to become his advisor? Zhang said, Although our household is filled with paperwork, we have a dozen or so advisors, all of whom are talented and capable, each fulfilling their responsibilities. Not only would my master dare not demean such a talented person, but if he had such intentions, you would certainly not serve as an advisor in the Yang household. Please guess again. Li Jiang said, That's not it. Could it be that Lord Yue wants you to go elsewhere as an envoy to prepare for the future of the country? Zhang said, No, I've already told you. Lord Yue has a stepdaughter, exceptionally beautiful and talented of marriageable age, whom Lord Yue loves dearly, as if she were his own daughter. Now, seeing that you are such a remarkable person, Zhu Luo thought that there was no better son-in-law in the world than you, sir, so he sent a decree to my brother, wishing that you and sir would become envoys for marriage. Li Jiang replied, How could that be? I wander the world, my life is adrift as a duckweed. Moreover, my ambitions are not yet fulfilled. How can I have time to discuss matters of marriage? Although I am honored by the noble patronage of Lord Yue, my family is not worthy of his, and there would be a disrespect between our ranks. This matter is absolutely unacceptable. Please, brother, politely decline on my behalf. Zhang said, Sir, how impractical you are. My lord is a high-ranking official of the royal family. A single word from him can determine honor or disgrace. If you were to marry into a wealthy family, your future wealth and honor would be immeasurable. Why insist on this and hastily reject it? You should. Think it over carefully, Li Jiang said. Wealth and status are for all men, and marriage is not something to be discussed in a traveler's trip. Let's leave it for another day. If you press me any further, I will set off right now and wander between Qi and Chu. Zhang said solemnly, Sir, don't take this matter lightly. If I return to the manor and convey your wishes, and if my master is enraged, even if you had wings, you wouldn't be able to fly out of Chang'an, and your life would be in danger. Li Jiang's expression changed, and he stood up, saying, You official are so infuriating. Do you think I, Li Jiang, am afraid of anyone? No matter how powerful you are, I see you as a puppet. I would rather die than comply. The two were arguing in the room when a man dressed as a guard from the next room pushed open the door and asked, Which one of you is Brother Medicine Master? Li Jiang, still fuming, casually replied, This is me. Zhang looked at the man and quickly raised her hand, asking, What is your surname, sir? The man replied, My surname is Zhang. Zhang said, I am also. She trailed off, then quickly corrected herself. This young man is also surnamed Zhang. If you don't mind, I'd like to be your brother. Upon hearing this, the man looked at her more closely and laughed heartily. It would be wonderful if you wanted to become my sworn brother. Only then did Li Jiang ask, Brother Zhang, what is your courtesy name? The man replied, My courtesy name is Zhangjian. Li Jiang, he stepped forward and took the man's hand, saying, Could you be the bearded gentleman? The man replied, Indeed. I was staying in the next room when I overheard your conversation. I knew you were Brother Yashi, so I came here. I have already heard what you said, but this virtuous brother is not the one to help you with your plans. Considering Brother Zhang's thoughts, why not tell him frankly, and then you too can help me with my plans? Zhang said, Since Brother Zhang has already seen through my intentions, I can no longer hide them. She went to bolt the door, then removed her black gauze hat and official robes and said, I am a woman from the Yue family. I saw that Master Li has extraordinary features and wish to entrust my life to him. I am not ashamed to recommend myself, so I came to you tonight. Zhangjian laughed heartily upon hearing this. Li Jiang said, Could it be the beauty who served me during the day? Since you have such good intentions, why not just say so now and save me from all this agonizing? Zhang said. My lord, your eyes are not discerning enough. If it were my brother Zhang, I would have recognized you long ago. There's no need for this humble woman to ramble on. Zhangjian laughed and said, You two are no ordinary people. Quickly thank heaven and earth. Let me go and fetch some wine and food. Let's use it as our wedding candles and have a few drinks. How about that? Upon hearing this, the two happily bowed to heaven in gratitude. Zhang put on her official robes and black gauze hat. Li Jiang said, Why are you dressed like this, my esteemed sir? Zhang replied, When I came into the shop earlier, I was dressed as a government official. If you see me as a woman now, it would be quite inappropriate. Li Jiang thought to himself, What a refined woman. Zhangjian ordered his men to bring in wine and food, and everyone raised their cups and chatted merrily. After 3 cups of wine, Zhang asked Zhangjian, When will you be leaving, brother? Zhangjian replied, My business is settled, I will leave tomorrow. Upon hearing this, Zhang stood up and said, Li Lang, please drink with my brother Zhang. I'm going somewhere and I'll be back as fast as lightning. Li Jiang said, That's strange. Where are you going? Zhang said, My lord, there's no need to be suspicious. You'll know soon enough. After saying this, she lit a lamp and left the room. Seeing this, Li Jiang became very suspicious. Zhangjian said, This woman's behavior is extraordinary. She is a dragon among men. She will surely come back soon. The two then shared some more of their thoughts. Just then, the sound of horses neighing was heard outside the door, and Zhang was already standing before them. Zhangjian asked, Where have you been, my dear sister? Zhang replied, I met Li Lang and my life is now entrusted to him. I have no desire for lust. Tonight, taking advantage of this military tally, I went to the central command hall and obtained 3 fine horses. After we finish our wine, we'll pack up, mount our horses, and head out. With the military tally here, the city gates won't dare to stop us. We can use these horses to travel to Taiyuan. Wouldn't that be convenient for both of us? The 2 men, hearing this, were amazed and full of praise. After finishing their wine, they packed their belongings, thanked their host, and the 3 of them mounted their horses and rode off. The next day, when Yue Gong did not see Zhang Marin come to serve him, he sent someone to check. The messenger returned and reported, The door is locked and there is no one there. Yue Gong suddenly realized, I was careless. This woman must have gone to Li Jiang. He ordered the door opened and found that all the clothes and valuables in the room were untouched, neatly arranged, and left on the table along with a report. The document was presented to Lord Yue, and it read, Zhang Chuchen, a maidservant of the Yue State Palace, kowtows and reports. I am but a lowly willow, yet I have been fortunate enough to be near a beautiful tree. Though I cannot compare to the pampered princess, I am still a lovely maiden. What dissatisfaction could I possibly have, that I would so readily harbor resentment? I was taught the arts of Su Jun in my youth, and with a fleeting insight I have recognized a hero. I am but a weak grass clinging to an orchid, a tender vine clinging to bamboo. How dare I, as Zhang Er's wife, be a slave to my husband? I depart with a clear conscience, not with the licentious behavior of young lovers. Respectfully submitted. Lord Yue, after reading it, understood. Knowing that Li Jiang was also a hero, he instructed his servants not to spread the word and let the matter rest. But what will happen next? Let us find out in the next chapter.